Hello, everyone. Hope you had a great start of the year. Welcome to the very first session of the European Campaign Playbook in 2022. My name is Sebastian Rodriguez, and I will be your host today. What do we do in these sessions? It's very simple, and you already know us. We invite the very best European campaigners to share with us best practices, best techniques, and the best technology to help us win campaigns running on a pro-European platform. Today, we have a very special guest, someone who has been doing, I would say, the best work at pan-European level that I've seen so far, and someone with whom I had the pleasure to be on the trenches and to be fighting for the good values of the European Union. His name is Sam Lockwood, and he is the founder, managing director of Brand Response, and also the founder and managing director of a company they just spin off, which is called Smart Race, and it's a company specialized on digital fundraising, which will be, in fact, the topic for today. So without further ado, I want to bring Sam to the stage. Hello, Sam.
Hi, Sebastian. Thanks so much for inviting me. Really excited to be here today and to talk to the community. Yeah, it's been great. I've connected with a lot of you, so it's nice to be involved.
Indeed, and Sam, for those of you who have been following us over the last few months, Sam has been the first person to deliver a hybrid workshop on digital fundraising in Brussels that took place in October last year. Unfortunately, we couldn't repeat it because of the COVID situation. We hope to keep doing more and more hybrid workshops when the situation allows us to do so. But we still thought that the content that we share in that workshop on digital fundraising, it would be very interesting to share it with the wider community. So I would like Sam to discuss many things with you today on digital fundraising. But first, you've been invited to do a masterclass on this very same topic, digital fundraising. So I'm gonna give you the floor, and after the introduction, we will have a chat, and that would be the whole content for today. So, Sam, take it away.
Thanks very much, Sebastian, and thank you for the intro. I don't know whether I can live up to the masterclass level, but let's see whether this content is useful for people. We've got a lot of feedback, so hopefully there'll be some useful insights and snippets today that I can share with you. So I will just start sharing my screen. So yeah, just a brief introduction to what we do as an organization. So Brand Response has been around for around 8 years working in the European market. We work on all kinds of different issues for European institutions, political parties, non-profits. And you know, our kind of our story is very much around community organizing and building movements around brands. And obviously part of that for progressive organizations is fundraising, which is critical to building sustainable organizations and sustainable pro-European organizations across Europe. So everything we do with digital, you know, is built around our 4 organizing principles. And so all of our projects kind of touch on one of these different areas. And Smart Raise very much like fitted into these values around you know, organizing principles, creating focus, relationships, purpose, and action. And you know, our impact has kind of grown with these values and with the different customers that have kind of organically grown with us through the years. So I wanted to give a brief brief bit of background on the kind of landscape of membership and fundraising in Europe. So Europeans give approximately 88 billion per year, and 46 billion of that, so around half, comes from individual donors. So, this breaks down from, corporations, foundations, lotteries, and so on. And the European giving landscape is quite kind of different in many ways. Membership is an increasing and significant part of that landscape. So we've noticed, despite COVID-19, that membership income has grown as a form of giving through 2020, 2021. And we've seen increases of 17% in 2020, for example. And, membership offers tend to get a better response online than general fundraising from Europeans. So it's quite a kind of interesting niche that membership is such a critical part of giving in Europe. But there is quite a big cultural and structural difference between the US and the European giving markets, if you like. So the US has the strongest culture of individual giving in the world, but Europe also has a different kind of culture and landscape when it comes to giving. So broadly, we sort of divide this into 4 different kind of models. One is the sort of Anglo-Saxon model, so the British-American kind of model, where civil society is seen as a counterweight to government. So that's partly why people will give. And then you have the sort of Rhine model, which is civil society orgs controlled or contracted by the state. Sorry, not controlled, but contracted. Big difference there. And then the Mediterranean model, which tends to be focused around through kind of faith-based organizations and charity services. And then finally, the Scandinavian model, which is based more around welfare state and volunteering. So Europeans are not less generous, but they're giving in a different way. But still, there is a difference, a gap between individual giving, even within those models, and the US, where in the US, giving is a greater philanthropy. Individual philanthropy is a greater part of the culture. And kind of why is this? And perhaps one of the things that we sort of saw as an organization is that giving is easier in the US. So why focus? Many organizations asked us, especially in Europe, why focus on individual membership and building for example, a recurring giving program? Well, a lot of this I always say is about resilience. So do you want to be fully dependent on institutional grants and fundraising that way? Or do you want to have a more resilient and varied income stream from both and from individual givers? Because often if you're taking money only from institutions as a non-profit, you're very dependent on them when it comes to decision making, what programs you can work on, and so on. So actually giving, having a sort of individual recurring membership or donor program helps you plan for the future, and it also makes you more independent. So, with our recurring giving programs, we're trying to take you from this before state where you've got these big spikes in grants and donations coming in around campaigns, political events, to this kind of predictable income stream which grows over time. So that's kind of our goal with recurring giving. And the challenge we face really is, three parts of the bucket, if you like. So the first part, is getting donors in, so new donors. And the second part is your active donors, so the people who are active in your membership and donation pools and keeping them engaged. And then the third part is this churn, which we call like the leak in the bucket. So the people kind of coming out of that process, whether their credit cards fail or they just kind of become disengaged with you. And it's really important to focus on all three parts of retention and growth, because the cost of acquiring new donors or members is often more than the amount they actually give. So this is really key, to focus not just on new donors, but also on keeping your active ones and having a process to deal with your churn donors over time. And we can see that, over time, churn really silently kills your income. So if you have, if you're losing 5% each month of your recurring donors, then, over time, you'll end up with nothing quite quickly, a lot faster than you think. So it's really important to focus on having a program in place for those churn donors as well. So the question, that we wanted to focus on a little bit here with some case studies is how can we make giving easier in Europe and close this giving gap between the US and Europe? And two aspects of it I just wanted to sort of touch on today. The first is storytelling and community, and the second is automation and design. So just focusing on storytelling and community, what do we kind of mean by that? Well, storytelling is, obviously how you more effectively communicate your the impact of the donations that people are giving, and that output that, the input and the output that they're getting through that process. And community is really about involving people over the long term and getting them to recognize in a social way the impact that they're giving is having. So a few organizations that we often point to in this in this space that really make a difference and do this well. The first is Charity Water. So they really have a great program for making it clear where your donation is going. So you can see on all of their donation forms and communication, you get exact, precise input, output. Your $40 donation gives 12 people clean water. And again, you can see very specific social proof. So you can even zoom into the particular map, see which well you've funded and so on. So it's a very clean, easy, and nice to understand example. Obviously quite difficult to show that direct impact for some organizations, but there are different ways to do that. Extinction Rebellion also has a really good way of, on the sort of community side, of making these sort of ladders of engagement clear. So not just asking people to donate straight away, but taking them through a kind of community process where they're going through an awareness stage, they're going through a dialogue stage, they're going through a training stage, and only then do they start this sort of, the fundraising ask process. And again, another great example of very, very direct and understandable outcomes from your donation, led by Donkeys in the UK, a campaign group, very, very prominent in terms of the Brexit campaign and so on, or the sort of anti-Brexit campaign, I should say. They just ask in their social media posts, how can we do more of this stuff? And it's clearly clear what they're asking. They've got the photo there of the posters. And, the answer is to make a donation to give a regular gift. So in summary, just 4 points that I covered, that we've covered here. The first part is, showing tangible impact. So show direct proof that you're helping, you can make a difference aligned with people's values. Offer real benefits. So, what's in it for me? How will a membership or donation enhance my career, show social status? Will I learn new skills? Try to build something bigger. So creating a community and taking action together is vital to building that long-term relationship. So making sure your donors remain active and, make it personal. So obviously segment the interest to people's interests, reach out at critical moments such as holidays, birthdays, key dates to thank people. Thanking people is something that, you really need to do, and you need to do it regularly. So looking at the other kind of area today that we're going to cover is automation and design. So this is more the process of what you do to build that digital infrastructure to help make your giving programs and membership programs better. So the first part is on sort of donor acquisition. So, how do we make giving easier? So, a lot of the time, especially with European organizations, we see very poor design and user experience in terms of the checkout process. So, less, improve your checkout design. There's loads you can do around this, but, less text, less fields, less steps, create less friction to get people to that point of giving. Go local with payment options. So actually offer European payment options, which is something people often don't do. So if you're in Poland, you need to be able to offer, the local payment type there. If you're in Belgium, you need to offer bank contact, for example. So make sure that you're covering the appropriate payment type for the individual. And, offering mobile and wallet payments as well. So, these are increasingly important. So Apple Pay and Google Pay, one-touch payments, try to just remove barriers to people having to do data entry and making it difficult for them to give. And you should be encouraging recurring giving wherever possible. So you want to get this predictable stream of income over time that grows. So you should be suggesting regular giving above one-time giving wherever possible. And part of that is direct debit. So SEPA in Europe, direct debit in the UK is really critical to this. Direct debit has natural lower churn rate. And it's, bank-to-bank payments are typically a lot cheaper than credit cards and more attractive often for Europeans. The other side of this is to have systems to improve retention and growth. So you need to keep your admin costs low, otherwise your giving program is going to cost more than the amount that you're raising from it. So part of that is to, automate your failed payment recovery process. So when payments fail, automatically respond. You need to convert one-time givers to recurring where possible. So you need to have an automated way of doing this if possible. And you need to be able to upgrade donors who give after a certain period of time. So in a respectful way, you need to be able to suggest small increases in donations at the right time and have programs to re-engage those donors too. And it's leveraging machine learning with payments. This today can be done surprisingly easily with different payment service providers. So this is not a prohibitive, difficult thing to do anymore. So this is something that all of us can do with, things like Success Plus from Go Cardless. You can recover 76% of failed payments, for example. So things like that, which are relatively easy to do, are available off the shelf today. So then finally, I just wanted to talk to you about SmartRaise, our product, and how this fits into this sort of payment landscape and this European landscape. So we designed this product to sort of fill these gaps where we saw, a lack of best practice in the market, and also just it being difficult for our customers to achieve what I've described. So we focused on sort of three areas in the product. The first was making giving easy. So with increasing conversion rates with better checkout design, one-click payments, and local direct debit and ACH. So kind of very, very tied into the European market and trying to create one system that you can easily implement if you're running pan-European campaigns or local country campaigns. We also wanted to increase revenue. So we've created some unique automations in our system that allow you to upgrade donation amounts and convert one-off donors to recurring donors very easily. And finally, we wanted to help people keep more donors for longer, so lower the churn rates and lower the drop-off rates. So we have a lot of automations in the system that help do this off the shelf. So basically you can scale and you can increase, you can create your giving program, but you don't have to worry about those kind of details. A lot of that's set up and automated for you. So yeah, this is a kind of overview of how the product, different aspects of the product look in terms of kind of the donation forms and pages that you can put on your website, and then the different types of donation payment types that you can use, and then kind of these automations that kind of work in the background to automate and increase your revenue stream. And also, just to say, you know, it plugs directly into the full ecosystem of campaign CRMs out there. So we have integrations for Nation Builder, we have integrations for Salesforce, and for other platforms like Action Network as well. So we're increasingly adding more and more integrations. So yeah, it's a very easy to use and easy to get started product for European campaigns. So yeah, at that point, I think it's good for me to have a pause and stop talking, and I will hand back to Sebastian for questions. And yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you, Sam. That was great insights as usual, and I think you gave a comprehensive overview of what needs to be done when your organization wants to take it seriously to go on and set up a fundraising with digital fundraising program. We are actually seeing a trend here, not only in Brussels but also elsewhere, about more and more organizations that are starting to adopt this American model of fundraising, and sometimes successfully, sometimes less successfully. But there is one trend that you pointed out that is part of, you know, it's included in part of those programs, and it's the membership. And more and more often, and I see it in media, I see it in campaigns, I see it in many other areas. You see how people, they stop saying, giving me, you know, €5 today, and they are shifting to, you know, donate €20 a year, and then in exchange there are certain benefits. So like you correctly pointed out, you can see the benefit of, you know, what you are doing with that, what they are doing with that money, you know, which addresses some of the problems of let's say lack of trust that certain NGOs may have. They say, no, if you give us money, this is how it translates into actual work done. So why are we seeing this shift to membership model? Is it backed up with data? I mean, do we see like organizations are actually generating more revenue out of membership programs? I mean, what is the data behind this reasoning, if any?
Yeah, I think the non-profit sector is going through the same changes that, you know, all other sectors are going through in terms of digital. So you know, it's what's been called the kind of subscription economy, right? So we're used to now having our Netflix subscription, we're used to subscribing to multiple services, and we're used to also getting something back from those services too, right? So content, or, you know, feeling part of a community, or going to events, for example, or, you know, learning new things. So I think increasingly, you know, organizations are realizing that they can package up a lot of their pre-existing tools, their content, their initiatives, things they might already do, and actually create a kind of, you know, offer that's more aligned to what people in especially younger generations now expect. I think also that, you know, membership, it's a strange one, because it's almost becoming it's almost becoming reborn again. It used to be an old-fashioned thing that you used to become a member of a political party and have your card, but now it's, you know, moving into the digital age, where people also expect a range of services online back for that payment. So I think it's kind of almost like a rebirth of an old-fashioned idea, but it's certainly certainly a trend.
So we are saying the Netflixification of the digital fundraising. No? So people want to have the subscription model for everything, and that includes also for the things that make them feel good, which can be fundraising, being part of an organization. So in the end, it makes sense. You also, in your article on the playbook last year, you also highlighted some of the data gathered by Team Can Do on comparing something as simple as emails, no? How emails that contain a strong like membership call to action not only give me money, but actually there is the why, there is the an explanation of maybe the benefits or whichever the messages from the organization. I actually people especially in the field of email marketing, it's so hard to grab the attention. People actually stop and read what the organization has to say, click in greater numbers. So it's and all that leads up to better, a more robust membership, no? Perhaps like long-term robust membership. People who are expecting what you have to say, no, because they are part of it. And I suggest, I recommend everyone to go and check the article. We'll drop it at the in the comment section on YouTube. And the second thing that I wanted to ask about this trend is it's how easy it is to automate and to bring some technology innovations that are actually our day-to-day when we go to Amazon, when we subscribe to Prime, or when we do any other thing. In the background, there are certain technologies like machine learning, artificial intelligence, specific tools that we can use from the private sector and apply them in campaigns. What are I mean, you mentioned broadly automation. You mentioned machine learning, but I mean, what is actually out there ready to be plugged into our strategies?
Yeah, sure. So I guess a more concrete example with the machine learning tool out there, which is really powerful, that we've seen and integrates with our product, is something called Success Plus from Go Cardless. So Success Plus, basically you switch it on, it works in the background. You switch it on your account, it works in the background to find the optimum time if someone's payment fails, to retry in the background their bank account in a non-invasive way behind the scenes. So someone might not have enough money in their bank account on one day, but then they get paid the next day, so it automatically retries their bank account at optimized times and then tries to recover that payment in a non-invasive way. So things like that, where you're leveraging the intelligence of lots of different organizations through that tool as to when is the best time to retry that person's bank account, are really powerful as a specific example. And then a lot of that is just you're just taking advantage of tools that are out there on the market already. It's not reinventing the wheel. It's not difficult to do, and you can bring in, that's really what we tried to do with Smart Raise, is also to bring in a lot of this, the gaps in that best practice, where we saw people having no process to deal with this, a lot of organizations just having literally manual staff going in and contacting people or calling them. And you can't really do that at scale. It's especially if you want to scale a subscription organization, you can't have a whole call center there, like calling people and chasing payments. You need automation to scale it. So that's what we're trying to do, and those are the trends we see.
Yeah, so it's actually all these tools will actually help the fundraising manager from to do their work more efficiently. Probably he or she can spend more time on strategy and learning new things, and leave all of these manual and very tedious tasks to the own system, to automate them. And the last thing that I wanted to say, that we wrap it up, is that this is all, and especially smart race, but also brand response. This is all European technology, which we always love to showcase in the European campaign playbook, and it is, of course, it checks all the boxes in terms of data protection, in terms of GDPR compliance, etc. So it's something it's a competitive advantage, and it's also really good now that we are talking these days about autonomy. It's good to also have our own tools and technology to be used in our campaigns, which are actually tailored to the European market, because, like you said, you may well use a tool really good, but it's mostly designed for the US market, but then it doesn't cater for the fragmentation of payment system that we experience here in Europe, and so many other things that make Europeans different from our American counterparts. So I would like to again to invite everyone to after they follow this masterclass, to read the article on the European Campaign Playbook. We will share it here with all the information. And please do get in touch with Sam. We will also leave his contact details to make sure that if you think that they can help you in any way, it will be easy to reach out to them. Well, Sam, I think we can wrap it up here. Thank you again for your time, for spending time with the community of the European Campaign Playbook, and hope to see you soon, maybe in Berlin, Brussels, or who knows.
Thanks so much, Sebastian. Really appreciate you hosting this, and hope to see you all soon in the future. Thank you.
Thank you.